The NFL just woke up a sleeping giant. While they underestimate our players, Chicago is cooking up some explosive moves that nobody sees coming. 2 stars might leave, 3 legendary names could come in, all while the league completely ignores us. This is exclusive and will change everything you thought you knew about the Bears 2025. I can't believe what ESPN just did with Gervon Dexter Sr. Did you see that top 10 defensive tackles list for 2025? Not even an honorable mention. Not even a line. Let me repeat this until it sticks in your memory. When a player doubles his tackles, sacks, and tackles for loss from his first to second season, how the heck does he not even get an honorable mention? 19 QB hits that ranked him 4th among all defensive tackles in the league. 4th! And ESPN says he doesn't deserve a vote, but let me tell you the full story of what happened with this kid. In 2023, Dexter had a quiet rookie season. Everyone said he was another wasted pick by Chicago, that Ryan Poles didn't know what he was doing, that it was another bust. And do you know what this guy did? He went home after the season and completely transformed his body. When he returned to Hollis Hall, his own teammates didn't recognize him. He was in impressive shape. And what was the result? His production skyrocketed, more than double in every important category. Tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, everything. He became a key piece of Chicago's entire defense. Do you think this is a coincidence? I tell you, no. This is the same disrespect Chicago has received for decades. The same old narrative. Chicago lacks talent. Chicago is rebuilding. Chicago doesn't matter. But you know what's the most beautiful thing about all this? Ben Johnson, our new head coach who faced him twice a year when he was in Detroit, knows exactly what we've got. He's watched the tapes. He's had to game plan against this monster. With Billings out last year, you could feel how he grew. Said, Johnson, you could see it on the tapes. There was growth. There was more production, particularly in the pass game. That's Navy and Orange, baby. And you know why Johnson can say this so confidently? Because he had to face Dexter 4 times, twice in the regular season. And every time he faced him, he could see how this guy kept improving. Dexter played 356 pass rush snaps and ranked 41st among all defensive linemen. And you know why? Not because he missed games, not because he wasn't producing, but because Chicago constantly rotated the defensive line. And what's the craziest part of all this? That Grady Jarrett, our new star signing, also didn't receive a single vote. A veteran Pro Bowler, a consistent guy for years. And ESPN says he doesn't deserve a mention, but this has me excited. Do you know what happens when they underestimate the Bears? When people sleep on our players, we pay the consequences on the field. And now imagine this. Dexter more motivated than ever playing alongside Jarrett, also motivated, with Dennis Allen designing schemes to maximize their talent. Add to that more rotation. Dexter will have opportunities to play on the edge, using his length more effectively. Do you think ESPN will be able to ignore this guy after what he'll do in 2025? I guarantee you they won't. Because this is the year Dexter will explode on a national level. Now, if that surprises you, wait to hear this. That has me completely shook. 2 of our most recognized players might be packing their bags before training camp ends. Montez Sweat, and a guy who cost us $98 million, the savior of our pass rush in 2023. Do you think Ryan Poles would be crazy to move him? I tell you this. When you have a cap hit of $25 million annually and only produce 5.5 sacks, your job is in danger. But let me explain why this isn't as crazy as it seems. When Chicago traded for Sweat in 2023, it was a desperate move. Matt Eberflus needed immediate help, and Sweat delivered. He helped stabilize a completely broken pass rush. But what happened in 2024? His production dropped. 5.5 sacks was his lowest number since his rookie season. And do you know why? Because the scheme didn't maximize his strengths. And now enters Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is installing a faster, more hybrid defense, a defense prioritizing speed, disguise, and versatility. And you know what? Those aren't necessarily Sweat's primary strengths, but you know what fits perfectly in Allen's system. Austin Booker, Dio Odeyingbo, younger, cheaper players with the explosive traits Allen needs. And mathematically, this makes sense. Chicago is ranked 27th in cap space with only 14.8 million available. Trading Sweat would create over 15 million in savings. That's cap relief and flexibility. But here's what interests me. Sweat still has trade value, 47 career sacks, experience, locker room presence. Contenders will be lining up for this guy. And Cole Kmet? Oh, Cole Kmet, the guy who's been our security blanket through multiple coaching changes. Career high in touchdowns in 2023. Consistent red zone threat in 2024. But do you know what happened? When Chicago selected Colston Loveland from Michigan in the 3rd round, that raised eyebrows everywhere. Why? Because Loveland is a prototype for Johnson's system. Let me explain the difference. Kmet is a more traditional tight end. Thrives inline and in short area routes. That still has value, but it's not the best use of roster resources when you're trying to support a young quarterback in open space. For elite wideouts like Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, Loveland is completely different. A vertical threat can line up wide, in the slot, or even motion pre-snap to exploit mismatches. Exactly what Johnson needs for his spread-heavy system. And financially, trading Kmet will clear 6 to 7 million in cap space. Not massive, but every dollar counts when you're trying to build a contender with a young core. But this is what excites me about these possible moves. It's not just about letting go of players. It's about being ruthless about fit, scheme, and financial flexibility. The Bears are no longer rebuilding. They're retooling. And that means making tough calls about established names if they don't fit the vision. Do you think this will be easy for the front office? Hell no! But if this team is serious about building around its new coaching staff and young core, these are the kinds of moves they must make. And when you thought we were done with the moves, Albert Breer just dropped the biggest bomb of the offseason. And I swear when I read this, I had to read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Jamal Williams, Zadarius Smith, Matthew, Judon. These aren't random names someone threw against the wall. They're players Ben Johnson knows perfectly. Let me start with Jamal Williams. Do you know what this guy did in Detroit when Johnson was there? Brought a reliable presence to the offense. Steady production, veteran leadership, and more importantly, he already knows Johnson's system. Do you realize how valuable that is? No learning curve, no adaptation time. Williams can step in from day 1 and be exactly what Johnson needs alongside DeAndre Swift. And with Rashawn Johnson as our other back, having Williams provides depth, experience, and that presence you need when trying to establish a consistent running game. But Zadarius Smith? Oh my God! Johnson saw him up close when Smith came to the Lions from Cleveland mid-season. And you know what happened? Smith was instrumental in Detroit's playoff run. Johnson had a front row seat to the impact Smith had on that defensive line. He saw how a veteran of his skill set could elevate the whole unit. And now he's thinking, what if I brought that same energy to Chicago? And here's what excites me. If Chicago moves Sweat, they need to replace that production. And Smith not only can do that, but he can do it at a much lower cost. And Matthew Judon? I lose it. Chicago already tried getting him before. That smoke never led to fire, but the interest never really cooled. And now with Johnson in charge, that interest could finally turn into action. Judon would be the perfect upgrade for our edge rush, experienced, productive, with something to prove after not having the best season. But do you know why this is great for Chicago? Because we're talking about players who already know what Johnson wants. No learning curve, no adaptation time. These guys can step in and contribute immediately. And this tells me something about our organization. We finally have someone who knows exactly what they're doing. After years of watching this team make senseless decisions, now we have Johnson and Allen who know how to build a winner. But let me explain why Albert Breer specifically mentioned these names. Breer doesn't just throw names out there. He's got sources, he's got information. And if he's connecting these dots, there's real interest. And the timing is perfect training. Camp is weeks away. Teams are finalizing rosters. And there are gaps still needing filling. Imagine this. Williams giving us that reliable backfield presence. Smith bringing that veteran pass rush opposite whoever our other edge rusher is. Judon adding that explosive element we need. That's not just about filling holes. It's about adding pieces that can tilt games. It's about building a roster that can compete with anyone. And you know what this means for our young core. Caleb Williams would have more protection, more weapons, more experience around him. Everything he needs to take that next step. This means we finally have an organization that understands building. A winner requires tough decisions and smart moves. And if these links turn real, Chicago's final 90-man roster could pack more punch than anyone expected. Bears fans, I need you to tell me in the comments, are you ready to see Dexter prove ESPN completely wrong? Do you support the possible trades of Sweat and Kmet if it means bringing in Williams, Smith, and Judon? Do you think Johnson and Allen will finally take us where we deserve to be? Because I guarantee you that tomorrow we will have more explosive news about these moves. And you can't miss what's coming for Chicago. This is just the beginning of what's going to be the most exciting offseason in years. Like, if you believe Dexter will have an all-pro season and shut up all the doubters, subscribe. If you trust Johnson knows exactly what he's doing with these possible moves. Because this isn't just another season. This is the season where Chicago finally returns to where it belongs. And you're going to be part of this family that will celebrate together when we lift that trophy. See you tomorrow with more explosive news from the Bears. Bear down.